A wonderful place here in Livermore, and yeah, a signature place that I won't say people forget, but it's kind of a foundation of California wine country and history. It's an amazing place to be here. This was the kind of first discovered area in, kind of California wine country. Obviously, we go back to the missionaries and everything else throughout history, but this property, this cellar that we're sitting in right now is, it was built by Louis Mel, who was one of the founders of California viticulture, for that matter. I mean, yes, of course, people have been doing it for a while, but in the late 1800s, he's bringing in the clones of Merlot from Chateau Margaux. He's bringing in the clones of Sauvignon Blanc from Chateau Yquem. This is the guy who built the walls right behind me. I mean, it's spectacular history. So Murrietas, well, Joaquin Murrieta, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and I did not know full California history. My children can tell you about Joaquin Murrieta. He was a legendary guy. He was, depending on who you talk to, everywhere from a civil rights leader to a bandito, to you name it. He was the kind of classic California West, right? He did a little bit of everything. He was a horseman, amongst other things, and he was in the area, and he decided to water his horses here at the well, because there's this pristine water source that we have just right outside of the winery here. And so Joaquin Murrieta would take his horses here to water them. And, we thought that was just a beautiful concept that, hey, that's how beautiful our water is. Here in the Livermore Valley, man, we don't get a lot of rain, right? But what we do, we have beautiful aquifers, we have beautiful pristine water and water that flows through it, and that helps us water our vines. And how cool is it that Joaquin Murrieta, a California legend, took his horses here for the best water in the valley. I try to, because when you're from the South, people in California view you in a certain way or whatever. So I tried to lose the accent, but no, I love my upbringing in Atlanta, and that was how I got into wine, was working in restaurants, being around food and wine. I just love that culture. And so I began my interest in wine in particular when I was about 14 years old, and really just dove into it. It was very fascinating to me. I'm a nerd, I'm a biologist, that's what I like, but wine making, grape growing, that just spoke to me on many levels, and the vast array of what wine offers really spoke to me at a very early age. So I was just into that. Went to University of Georgia, studied biology and chemistry, then eventually, what am I going to do? I want to work outdoors. I had been to California many times. I loved wine. I knew about UC Davis, so I came out to California, went to graduate school at UC Davis, and that was it. I mean, it's kind of all I've ever done it's food and wine. I'm a one-note pony, it's that's all I know. It's what I do. Now, I think 2024 has got to be my 27th or 28th vintage, something like that. I can't count them up any longer, which is a beautiful thing. My youngest son just graduated high school yesterday, or on Friday evening, whatever. We had a party for him. And it's kind of a winemaking tradition that you create a birth wine for your child, okay? And so I had this 2006, he was born in 2006, 2006 Cabernet Sauvignon from Pritchard Hill, one of the greatest places in Napa Valley. Beautiful wine, all done in magnums for him. And, you know, we opened it, and it was lovely. But I'm like almost getting emotional right now. It's like so special. Like, of course I remember his birth year, but that's how my life is orchestrated, is through the seasons of every vintage. Sure, it has to do with wine, but I think you said daunting. I'd say it's lovely. It's like I have these bookmarks throughout my life that I can recount to you from 1997 through 2024. You tell me about a growing season, or you ask me a year, I can walk you through that growing year. And so it is. It's cool, and it's impactful emotionally. You know, I love it. I live in the town of Napa currently. I moved to California. Like I said, I'm from Atlanta, but I moved to California in '96. First moved to Mill Valley in Marin County, and then, of course, over to UC Davis. But even at Davis, I needed to be in wine country, so I moved to Calistoga, still commuting back and forth to go to school, but working at Peter Michael Winery at that time. And that's where I've been. I've moved up and down the valley and all around, but you know, work in Sonoma Valley, work in Livermore. I love it. I've done work in Santa Barbara County. You know, it's like I love the whole area. It really doesn't matter exactly where you live. It's just getting into the dirt, you know. It ebbs and flows. So, you know, what our core root here at Murrietas well is taking care of this property, our contiguous acres right here around the winery. And like I like to say, farming acre by acre. We're so very fortunate here in the Livermore Valley that we have a climate, and with our terrain and soil types, everything here at the estate, that we can grow multiple varietals. And so we're kind of at this huge blessing that I can produce Sauvignon Blanc, I can produce Chardonnay, I can produce Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Touriga Nacional, I mean, just Viognier, I mean, just everything that we can grow well. And we have very specific blocks and terrain for each thing that we produce. But we're still at the hands of Mother Nature. And so the idea is that we're producing the best wines we can from these acre by acre blocks. And so if it's, you know, 600 cases of Sauvignon Blanc, if it's, you know, 400 cases of Merlot, if it's this, that, and the other. So we don't really think about an overall production. It's really each varietal, but it's all small lots. We're not making 100,000 cases of any wine, right? We're talking about acre by acre. An acre of land can give you about 150 cases of wine. So a couple acres here, a couple acres there. So it's not a large production. I have my brand Pearson Meyer. That this will be 2024 is something like the 22nd vintage. 2001 was my first vintage, and you know, it's a passion project, and I mean that in the truest sense of the word. Of course, I don't want to go broke doing it, but my mission is not to gain fame or money or whatever else. It's a matter of being able to practice my winemaking technique without without anyone's input is not really the right way to put it, meaning that I'm on the line for everything.
Yeah, sure.
So what it does is it helps me practice my craft so that when I do am employed by Murrieta as well, that I can stand up to the plate and I know what it takes. You know I can feel the pain of finances and farming costs and how to do things well, and that you must execute and you must make the best wine possible. And so that's my mission with my brand is again, like I said, not some sort of other grandiose idea. It's a matter of putting myself on the line, you know, to be accountable, to make sure I'm practicing my craft to the best of my ability. Please, by all means, we have murrietaswell.com. Look into the website, call in, make a reservation. But by any means, if you're in the area, just stop by. It's so good. Like we said with this recording, you can hear all the people outside. It's just a beautiful, beautiful experience here.